Welcome to another Tableau tutorial video. I'm Weston Palmer. Let's get started. This week's video is a little bit different, a little bit longer, based on some of the survey information I got from the community page. A lot of people wanted to see a walkthrough. So today we're going to do a walkthrough of this dashboard, which contains police data. This is a reporting dashboard, and that's one of the things that I like to do is when I'm looking at a dashboard or approaching a dashboard is understanding what's the purpose, what are we trying to accomplish. Please leave comments, let me know if you like this format any better. So one of the first things I ran into was that each month was a separate folder, and so I had to break it out and move them all into one workbook. And the reason I did that was so that I could union all the data together so that I could have each of the months data and kind of compare it to itself. I think I got all May 2020 to 2021. Okay, good. Next thing I'm going to do is once this pulls up, is make sure that all the fields come across. Okay. Month. I'm actually going to change this to see if we can change this to date. That'll make things a little bit easier. And reported by falls within. The other thing I was checking on was the longitude and latitude. Those both show up as geographic items. Location. I looked at the data here. This was just kind of a text field. LSOA name, code. The code I don't recognize. The name is, I think that's late location. Crime type, outcome. Crime type is probably where we're going to be focusing. And so this is returning month like we were expecting. The other thing to note right away is under crime ID, there's a couple of nulls. And so that was what I was going to use as my index to key off of. And I think I still am. The other thing I'm going to look at is if there's no location, I don't know quite what to do with that. I guess we'll keep that. I guess we'll keep all of those. It appears that each record is going to be a issue, so I don't necessarily need to do count distinct. So the first thing I'm going to do, a lot of this is going to be just building the structure, and so it's not going to be very cool looking, but it is something we need to do to make sure that the formulas and everything are working. So I'm going to bring month across the top here under columns. Oops, I thought I was. And then we're going to bring count. Actually, we want this by, going to make this month. We want the May 2015. And then we're going to need to change that to, oh, I don't want that there. I want that under labels. So I can actually see the number. And change that to discrete so it'll give us the names. We can see the count. I'm going to change this to percent difference because that's one of the things that we're going to want to key in on. And I'm going to double click this again. Double clicking it will create those measure values. I'm going to look, see, yep, there's a big decrease. The other thing I want to do is it's only going to work for May. If you had it for more dates, it might work. And we're going to change this to, oh, it doesn't give me year-over-year growth. Okay, so we're going to have to do some things to make that work. You know, if you had a more elegant solution, I could do a more elegant solution if we had more data and things looked a little bit differently. But what we'll do is this is going to be, like you saw, a dashboard, a reporting form. And so one of the first things, so this is that. Let me just see what we got here for What was it? Crime type? Was that it? I'm just looking through these, trying to see if we could generalize it. One thing I was worried about was that it was going to be too long a list. I'd work with another data set that was so long that you couldn't even really do anything with it. Okay, and then let's just, for fun here, just to make sure that I've got everything, month and year. And we'll just do May 20 because that's what we're going to be focusing on here. Oftentimes I like to show it just so I can quickly change it and count it to the labels. Come back here, we're going to change of 28. We're going to now do one more thing. We're going to try and get the year over year date. And here's how we're going to do that. We're going to bring the, where is it? I'm going to bring the month up here, and it's going to show you year. That's fine. I'm going to bring the month here. We're going to do month, not month and day, so we're just going to select May. So that's going to give us both for 2000 and 2001. Here are the crime numbers, 428 and 226. Yep. And we're going to change this to a percent difference. And so now it's going to give us almost 89% increase from last year, which is great. I mean, it's not great, but. So now we are going to, I think we're going to start building this year over year. And then we're going to do something very similar. Duplicate this. I'm going to call this month over month. And instead of year up here, we're going to change this to month. Let's see here. Yeah, we're going to change that to month. And we're then going to filter this, edit the, we're going to clear this filter. Because what we want to do is we just want the last 2 months. So month and year. We're going to show April and May. And where is my number? I need to change that to discrete. And so we have 1955, 1955. And what we'll do, because we don't want to see this, we're going to hide that. The data is still there, but you're going to hide it. Same thing with this. You're going to hide that 2020. Now that, and hide this stuff too. I will leave that for right now. We're actually going to change this quickly to a circle. We're going to make this wider. Make this down to here. Looking at that line, we're going to hide this. Oops, oops, oops. We're actually going to not show the header. And we're going to make the label. Where do we want the label? We want it inside. All right, and then we're going to change the color here in a little bit, but we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to hide that. We get rid of the, show the header. Going to grab this side over to the right to line up with that. I think that is one of the hardest parts, is getting this all lined up correctly. Go into a circle, edit the alignment so that you're inside and centered. That works nice. That's what I was hoping was going to happen. Must have just not pulled it down far enough, maybe. There you go. And we're going to add some other things to that in a second. And let's just make another duplicate because we're going to, actually we're not going to do that. We're going to create another dashboard that says current month incidents. And we're going to bring the count here, and we're going to bring another filter. Depending on your data will really depend on how you do these filters. The way I'm setting it up right now, it does become a bit of a manual issue. Let's see here. We're going to leave that for now and just see how that works. Actually, we're going to change this. Let's see. And we're going to put in, so what we're going to do, I want to put a label under here because what we're going to get, we're going to put this, let's put this under label as well. We don't want the year, we want the month. And we're going to change this a little bit so that, okay, so that it should be all lined up, but we're going to make this number a little bit bigger. And then we're going to just say make sure that looks okay. We're actually going to probably, I want to make this stand out a little bit, so I'm going to make that a blue. And I'm going to make that bold. I'm actually going to make this a little bit lighter gray, so it's just, you know what, I'm going to get rid of it because we don't need it. People are going to understand what that is when you're looking at the chart or after the first time. Got to be careful that we don't add too much information, that it's all relevant. All right, so we've got that. Now I'm going to add another thing here. This is going to be crime breakdown. And this is going to bring the crime type over here. Going to bring the union, not the union, but incidents. Actually, I want that to be a bar chart. It makes it really easy to identify what's happening. And what I'm going to do is, I'm actually current month, I am going to apply to worksheets so that when you go through here, you only have to update it once. And I'm going to do crime breakdown. I may go back and do that for these other ones, maybe not, because they have to have year or another month in there. So let's see here, we should have, and if that number is there, then there's other information that we don't need here, right? We don't need the axis, because they're not going to have to go down and figure out what it is, how big the number is. We're going to hide. I probably get that wrong. Okay, good. And let's come here and get rid of the grid lines, because you don't need the grid lines anymore. And I don't know, maybe we'll filter that, maybe we won't. And we'll say monthly trend. And so we're going to bring the months over here. This is all the structure. We're putting the framework in place so that when we're ready to do the chart, it'll be dashboard's a lot easier. We don't need month of month. Let's edit the axis, get rid of that. The way you get rid of that is just highlight it and delete. Close off there. And we're going to change this, just call this incidents. You might pull that off, maybe you'll change that. The other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to add a reference line to see how we're doing, and I want it to be the average. I wanted to call it custom. I'm going to just call this average, shorten it because we're going to And we may go back and change the color. Let's see here. I'm going to make it a little bit thicker. I guess that's the same thickness. And I'm going to make it a brown, just a different color. And I'm going to put a label. I want a label at the line ends. And it's asking me, it doesn't have anything because it doesn't know what it wants. So we're going to put that. And so now we've got where we were and where we are. So now we're ready to do the dashboard. Let's clear this dashboard. And we're going to set this. This is probably okay, but I really like to use automatic. Or if I've got a widescreen, I already know what I want. I'll use that. Now I'm a big user of containers. Some people like tiled, and that's fine. I like containers. So I'm going to bring this vertical over, and this is where it's a little bit of a work in process. So I brought it over. What I have found is that as soon as you bring over a container, if you drop a blank object in there, it seems to work better. Tableau seems to recognize when you start pulling other stuff in. So now I'm going to bring over a text box. I'm going to go up at the top. You see that it's saying it's gray. I'm going to call this City of London. What do we call this? Police incidents. It's not really in. I like to have a big title. You can maybe even change the font. This doesn't show up quite as well. We'll just pick something different just to be Old English text. That seems appropriate, doesn't it? And we're going to put another dark color there. And I like to change the coloring. A little darker. Maybe put a border on it as well. Just kind of sets it off. Alright, so now we've got that. Now the next thing I want to do is I'm going to bring in a horizontal, because I want to have all the key metrics along the side. And like I said before, what works good is if you bring in another blank. So I've dropped in a blank. And now I'm going to start, where am I at? Now I get a little confused here. Okay, so I'll just be putting them on top of it. So let me just grab this current month. And let me bring month over month. I got the horizontal, that was my problem. So inside the horizontal, I want the vertical. And so that's where I want this. I'm going to bring these other items over here just in a second. And so you can kind of see I can have something down below, I can have something up at the top. Give you an idea of what I'm thinking. Oh, you've already seen what I was thinking. I'm going to bring this down here at the bottom. That's going to be at the bottom. Now I can get rid of this empty box. And I'm going to bring the crime breakdown over to this side here. And we're going to do, the other thing I wanted to have was over here was a chart, a map, crime map. So I'm going to do map. And the crime breakdown, current month, we want the same month to apply. So we're going to apply to month, where does it say the map? I can't do it yet because I don't have any data there. So we're going to come here and do longitude, latitude. And then we're going to do, it'll program everything out, the average there. And I want to put crime ID. Now, not all the crimes had an ID, so I'm going to also put two things on the detail. Crime ID, and then what was the other one? Crime name. Actually, no, we'll just leave crime ID. We're just going to leave crime ID. We're actually going to bring over here. There's 426 nulls. So let's come back to the data source. So with these have nulls, no crime ID, they still have a longitude or latitude. Right now it's going to give you an average of these. And I'm thinking we maybe just have to pull those out. You just have to pull the items that don't have a crime ID. Otherwise, you're going to take an average. You see up here an average of the longitude and latitudes. I guess the other thing we could do is we could show unaggregated. We get a couple more. Let's just filter out. So it's going to get rid of those items that don't have a longitude or latitude. Alright, and so now let's come over here and bring the map over. There's another box, big container, so it's trying to force it in, so let's get rid of that. Now the one thing I haven't done a lot here is I haven't done a lot of calculations. And so that's, I guess, okay for now. What I now want to do is I'm going to make this side a little bit bigger. I'm going to get rid of this title. Going to get rid of this title. Get rid of this title. And it's a little bit not sure what these are, so let me make this a little bit bigger. Make this a little bit bigger. Make this a little bit bigger. And we're going to try fit entire. See what that looks like. Doesn't have quite the effect I was hoping for. We're going to do a fit width. Nope. I'm going to just do standard, I guess. Let's see what this one does. Fit entire. I'm hoping it will make it bigger. Yeah, there we go. Fit entire. I'm not sure why this one didn't work. Let me see if I can. Let's pull that over. And we're going to go there and see if we can get that to. See why it's not. We're going to have this fit the width. It should go all the way across. Let's see if it will. It did not do what I was hoping it would do. So let's bring this over, manipulate it a little bit. And so now when you take a look at this chart, you can quickly see you don't know what this is. And so we're going to add a text box. We add a text box. Actually, we're going to actually put that in the item itself. And see if that. We're going to make the size a little bit bigger so that it expands and is able to cover, because that's what we really want. We don't need, oh, it's a little bit too big. And we'll come here and do the same thing, except it'll be year over year. Make the size about the same. That's I usually like to duplicate it because Trying to get it the exact same is a little bit tricky. Now we're going to, let's see here. I really like year over year. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of those grid lines for both of these. Let's see here. Let's really believe it is row dividers. None. Okay. Same thing here. Row dividers. Pane. None. But I do like to have, I'm going to put a border around these boxes here, around these containers, just because I like to have, it gives it, kind of sets it apart. And we're going to do borders, none. And we'll do this one as well. And so this is on the container itself, it's not on the underlying. And what I would do also is I would probably make this go through and we can adjust the heights too. One bad thing is now you've got this item here, so we would probably want to fill that in. Let's make this a little bit bigger. We're gonna, what? Not sure what happened there. Grabbed the wrong thing. We want to fill up all this empty space, so we're going to have this fit height. And so it's going to fill all the rest of that little gap there. Let's hide the title. I mean, people can tell that it's a map. What we did up here is we do need to make this a little bit bigger so we have the police incidents there. And I think people can see this is a monthly trend. We'll hide that. And we're going to put everything in borders just to give it a little bit of a different look. And what that will allow us also to do, I wasn't necessarily planning on doing this, but it also allows us to change the whole background. And we're going to, so this is everything is on this tiled dashboard here. And so now when we come to do a background, we can do an orange background. We'll have to do a little bit of manipulation. This is going to be the one that's a little bit tricky apparently. Let's see if it fits with, no. That is really weird why that will not center. Alignment, let's try this. Huh. So we have to have that, the alignment on the text. So now that gives us a little bit better feel. This title here is clear, so we're going to edit title. What we'll need to do, ran into this problem before, we're going to come to the actual dashboard, format, shading, and we're going to have the whole default, is white. Let's see if that takes care of it. No. Worksheet, it should have been that. Alright, so the other thing we could do is we could just hide that, but I'm not going to do that right now. I want to do the crime breakdown. We're going to add different colors, and why we're going to do that is because, oops, we bring over the crime types, because then we can add that. That's a little too cheery for crimes, huh? So let's find something that's a little more. And so rather than have to go through and assign every single one, we can just assign a palette. Yeah. And so what that means is you're going to end up with yes, and hit apply. Some of these colors are going to be the same one. And so in this case, if that's the case, these bigger ones. So I'm going to make possession of weapons. That's going to make possession of weapons. That brown and vehicle theft, red. And the other one was vehicle crime and theft. Let's put both of those, other crime, other theft, as that, I don't know what you call that, gun gray or blue. And then theft from person, we already got that as a different color. Vehicle crime, we'll give that one of the colors. And bicycle theft will give the other orange, I guess. And so now you can see that the others are going to be kind of that dark gray. Possession of weapon will be color. And now when we come to the monthly map, we're going to drop that color crime type on the color as well. And it may be a little bit too much, but that's where we're at. So now we've got a couple items. We're going to add an action item to the dashboard, to the crime breakdown. We just want to highlight. The crime breakdown, we're going to just highlight on the map. And we'll select OK. And so now if we select drugs, all the drugs are identified. If you want to select theft from person, that's something interesting. Let's just pull this, make this so you can read all of them. And then this is going to say, hey, it's too big. In which case then we will need to go to the worksheet. And you can see here that it's probably at 100. We'll just shorten it up a little bit. And actually, let's come to the, let's see what this does. Let's make it a little bit shorter. I don't know if you probably can't see on your screen, but there is just a hair of a line. Bring it a little bit shorter. Now it's too short here. Let's go to container. That's what it is. Container, background, white. All right. So the container is filled with white, just like we expected. And you'd probably want to clear up some of these the tooltips as well. But one last thing that I want to do, and we don't really need to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. Let's come to this, let's go to the month. Let's add a color to this. So we've got change of union. Let's drag this over. And we're going to call this month change. Okay. And then we're just going to come in here and edit. It's already got a formula. So you can look at that formula if you want. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to create a new calculated field based off of that change. I'm going to call it M month change color. If MOM change is greater than 0, then I want to change that to increase. Else MOM change less than 0, then decrease. I should really make this bigger for you, sorry. Else, no change. And the likelihood that it's going to be the exact same is very low. But we're going to change that to change else if. Hit OK. Now we're going to bring the change color, change month to month, change color to the color, and we're going to edit. So if it's increase, that's red. We don't want an increase. That's the only option there. And so now month over month, when the next month you're going to have to go in and assign it to green. So if we were to come here, let's see this, change color month over month, different colors, increase, and so what we need to come under here is changes to decrease, and change, no change, I usually make it as gray or blank, so you can quickly see what's happening. You can apply that also to this chart here. Now we're going to do something similar. We're going to have a different formula. Let's see, year over year change. Actually, let me just double check here. Actually, I think it is the same formula. I was initially thinking we were going to have to do some. No, that's not the right one. Do something with fixed formulas, fixed functions, and stuff. So let me just change this. I'm just going to say change color, and we're going to dump that on there. Just call this change. Edit. And then we can get rid of this year change. I will leave it because it's already called out there. And so now you've got your dashboard. You can say, oh, we had a 19% increase and a 20% increase. That's not good. So that you quickly are able to see that there's the problem. You get a little bit distracted with all these colors here, and so that might be something you would change. You know what? Let's just do it. We're going to go to crime breakdown. That's going to change here. So we're going to bring in union. We're going to bring in. We're going to do the same thing as like we did a month over month. Except this now this time we're going to have to edit, and we're going to show the last 2 months, right? If you were showing regular, well, you may still have to do this. So now I got to bring the month over, because you want the month at the top level, right? And we're going to bring in, want the month and the year in case you're doing January. And we're going to call this discrete. And we're going to hide, get rid of these. Actually, we're going to hide April. And then we're going to not show the filter header so that we get back to this. We're going to have to get rid of those lines. And now when we bring this change color onto the color, that doesn't seem right. Calculated field. We want it across. It was calculating change between each one of these, and so we hadn't defined that color, but we want to actually do it across. And let's just do this. Let's show the header and right click to unhide, show hidden data, and let's see if this makes sense. Okay, increase, yeah, it went down, went up, down, No change. Oh, that's good. And so now you can quickly, let's hide that again. Hide that. Not going to show any headers. While we're here, we might as well get rid of the lines. What I'm doing with the lines is trying to get rid of as many of the lines as we... Okay. I'm looking for the... I thought it was... Oh, there we go. Trying to get rid of what they call the ink. Ink that's not adding any value. And we'll just open that up a little bit. And we'll have to find where that edge is. Shorten that a little bit. Now when we come to this dashboard, you can quickly see that, oh, hey, we're red over red. And actually you can make that text bigger. You need to come here and hide that because those were linked, I think, month over month. Nope, where was that? Current month. Not sure why it's showing that. Let's take a look. That's not what I wanted. I think it's because we were applying it to that other crime breakdown. Yeah. So let's just, this one, we're just going to apply this to this one only. And now when we come to the current month, we'll just pick May and everything should look good. Couple more things you could do, but this gives you a great start on a reporting dashboard. Up here I would certainly want to make this bigger so that it's not competing with this. And darn it, I can't help myself. I'm going to come here under text. I am going to write down incidents right here. Just put it in lower incidents. Get rid of the coloring. Just make it very shaded. You want it to be there because somebody is invariably going to ask, what is that for? Maybe a little bit darker so it's a little bit visible, but it doesn't detract. And now when you come to the dashboard, usually I move the dashboard to the far right, and then anything that actually goes on to the dashboard, I make it all the same color so it's easy to see which colors, which dashboards, which files, which worksheets go with which dashboards. And then I would rename it. Thanks for watching. Hope you found that video helpful. Hit subscribe and the bell so you get notified when I release new videos. And check out my other videos to learn even more about Tableau.